Well, welcome everyone to Real Balance Global Wellness Health and Wellness Coach Certification Training. This is a video to help you cover chapters 10 and 11 in our manual for certification. And what we're going to be doing is putting it on this video for you so that this material, which is a little more heavily didactic and a little less experiential than the rest of our course, can be found and available to you in this easy format. So I'm going to be starting out by covering chapter 10, which is our chapter on time-limited coaching, or what we might call laser coaching. I'll start by playing a video that we've done where I give an explanation for what laser coaching is, some of the components of it, and then I'm going to be doing a demonstration with a live client for how to really use time efficiently, really in any coaching practice and in really any coaching session that you might have. So let me go ahead and share this video with you, and I will bring it up to just a moment. I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing this properly with you. There we go. And let me bring it up to full size, and then be able to share it with you.
The term laser coaching probably came about through the work of Thomas Leonard, and his style of laser coaching was maybe a little different than what most of us use today when we talk about coaching in that laser type way. Thomas Leonard was, I think, really a very smart, observing, intuitive guy who could kind of give someone feedback about what he was seeing and what the client was doing in their lives, and he would often throw out possibilities to the person about what was really going on. Now, when we talk about laser coaching, it's more how to work really efficiently. And quite often we're motivated to do that by a circumstance where we don't have all the time in the world to coach someone. We always want to be coaching in a very efficient manner, whether we have 10 minutes, 20, 30, 40, 60. We always want to have that client feel like they're getting the most value out of every single minute that they're working with us. Now, to do that, we have to really help our clients stay on track. Clients tend to ramble, they tend to elaborate, they tend to get off on tangents, and just like us in a conversation with a friend, we appreciate it when somebody helps us get back off of that tangent and get to the point that we're trying to make. So that's part of what we're going to be doing in coaching. And we do that through a number of different techniques. One is, first of all, we are not working in a way where we're hurrying someone. People really don't like that. They often dig in their heels, or they just simply don't like what you're doing in coaching and they don't come back. So it's not about hurrying the person. We want to move swiftly but not hurry. So when we're speaking with them, we don't want to go into real elaborations that seem to be without much point. We might ask the person, so how does the details you're telling me about now relate back to what you were just saying? Or, to name the topic that they were just talking about. We practice what we call respectful interruption to help someone get back on track. And sometimes we really do have to literally interrupt when someone is talking continuously. But we can do that, and often a technique to do that well is to summarize what they've just said and then lead it into a powerful question that helps them to kind of narrow down what they're saying, to be more accurate, more concise in what they're saying. So we're going to use all of our active listening skills to help things get more compact, more concise, more on target. We're also going to use techniques that help us really manage our time well. We're going to keep track of time, and we're going to help our clients be responsible for keeping track of time. But we're also going to use the clock in a way where we have the picture of the whole coaching session. We know that we don't want to just elaborate and explore and then with 5 minutes left suddenly try to make all our plans for next week and our next coaching meeting. We want to really keep in our mind a log of where we're at and what we still need to do to move through a whole coaching process. So laser coaching is not about hurrying. It's about helping people stay on track. It's about helping people to really be focused in what they're saying so that they can get the results that they want. They can increase their awareness in ways that are going to help them move forward and live the healthiest life possible. Okay, so Teresa, you're really doing a great job of coming up with some excellent ideas and plans here for how you can be more active in your life. But like you said, it's all for naught if you're not eating well and improving, your diet. And you've got some good ideas about how to do that. How can we help you in coaching to really execute some of those ideas to eat more healthy, more consistently, and it was sounding a lot like managing your time too, to be able to have the time to eat well?
Well, I think that having someone to help, honestly, even on a nutrition kind of, I guess, in that area of nutrition, because I'm not an expert label reader, and so it's really hard. Fruits and veggies, you really can't go wrong with that. But other than that, it's kind of like, nutrition, I think, is really another big one, because if I don't know, if I think I'm getting something healthy and it's got some weird preservative in it or something, I really don't know what.
So really what you're talking about here is increasing your knowledge of what really healthy eating could look like for you.
Right.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how knowledgeable do you think you are right now in terms of, if I had the time to do it and I did it right, I know this much about eating healthy and well?
Honestly, probably maybe a 5 or a 6.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
everything is new because people are changing advice all the time, and agave nectar is good, and now it's not, and I'm just
very confusing.
Like, I don't what is good anymore other than.
So really 5 or 6, that's not bad, but you definitely see the need for improvement.
Oh yeah.
How could you get that improvement? How could you find more accurate knowledge about how to eat healthy and well?
Maybe a dietitian.
Okay.
Talking to a dietitian and just doing. It's so hard to do your own research when you haven't gone to school for something like that, I think, or unless you've been living that way, so you know what the results are, or what's good or bad. I definitely have not been living that way, so I don't know. Really.
So you'd really appreciate the guidance of a professional.
Yes.
Who really isn't influenced by all the trends and all the current fads, but really has a solid background in nutrition and can really advise you and maybe help you come up with some really healthy meal plans.
Yes, because Google is not, wouldn't be sufficient.
Google is just infinite in all the
Yeah,
ideas.
I wouldn't know. I'd be doing something and then, my next search would be, you shouldn't have done that. So, yes.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been searching already.
Yeah, I've done some searching. Try to cut some foods, like with BHT and things like that. So, I get migraines, so I try to cut back on my triggers to begin with, but it doesn't mean I eat healthy.
So you know some of the right things to do.
A little bit.
But you'd really like to have that focused knowledge, and if you were to gain that knowledge, what would be the next step in improving diet and improving the way that you and your family eat?
It would just have to be, I think, a swift and drastic kind of change. I'm not really good with progressive change. If we're going to do it, because I'm not a picky eater, but if we're going to do it, we're just going to dive in, let's just do it. And I don't know if that's like the wrong approach to take, but I just find it a lot easier to to
so,
do that.
So it's easier for you to make a total commitment and maybe even, like you said, make even a drastic change. Is that something you can get your family to go along with?
We could do that with food.
Yeah? Wow.
I think we could do it with food. I mean, they're crazy about fruits, and they're crazy about, I mean, they're pretty good about that.
Okay.
That's one area that they are.
All
And they
right.
do complain when we drive through fast food places too.
wow.
I'm like, well, I don't have the time.
All right.
So
So really, you aren't going to get much pushback from your kids. It's more coming back once again to what you just said about the time. So there's this big connection between time management and food management in your life. Part of it's knowledge, and part of it is having the time to do the right thing,
yes,
to do the most effective type of thing for your family's eating,
yes,
right?
absolutely, yes.
Okay, so would you like to explore in coaching a way to follow through and get that education you want, and also follow through and work on managing stress, managing time better, so that there is enough time to, I think I heard you say one time, you really enjoy like grilling vegetables and grilling food, and when you do that, you feel better, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can feel the difference between, I mean, eating fast food for a day. If we grill for even 1-2 days in a row, just like grilled chicken, grilled veggies,
Yeah.
and then the next day we switch to fast food. I mean, I can feel it. I mean, I could tell.
So you really experience it.
Oh yeah, I can feel it physically.
Physically, yeah.
Yes, and then emotionally, I mean, if you're not feeling great physically, you're going to be more sensitive, I think, and just more grumpy and just tired. And
So it all ties together. It all ties together, the emotions, the feeling, the, what you're eating, and having the time to do a better job of that. It sounds like it's all really interconnected.
absolutely, it's
Yeah.
all interwebbed. It is absolutely.
So where do we want to start? What would be a first step that you could do between now and say a week from now, when we might follow up with coaching, that you could take to either get that connection with a dietitian, or to take some kind of step toward managing time better for eating?
I think I would, well, like you said, time management. That would have to be the very first thing that I would need to look at,
Okay.
because I won't have time for a dietitian if I don't find
Okay.
time. So I'd have to just find
right.
some slots and just,
Okay, so let me ask you, do you manage things with a written calendar day by day right now?
no.
Okay.
And that would be very helpful.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's kind of ingrained. And then, as I said earlier, a lot of the times the girls are like, oh, I forgot I have this rehearsal tonight. And I'm going, okay, but, if I ask the girls to give me all of their schedules up front, and maybe
Yeah.
I could do a calendar, I think that would help.
Can I ask, what would work best for you there? A paper and pencil type calendar or an online calendar?
I like writing things, adding things, erasing things.
Okay.
So,
Physically,
physically.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that, and I have a calendar in my phone where I could type it in there,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I would like to get like a red marker and underline what's more important than the next thing.
Okay, so-
which is what I do in my mind, but it's not very
Alright.
efficient because we're running around everywhere.
So what could that look like? Some kind of calendar book that you could carry with you, but it's right there on paper, and you get input from your girls and put it all together?
Yeah, I think it would be, like I've got a bag that's this big, and there's Band-Aids, and there's all kinds of stuff in there.
Fit right in there, huh?
It would fit. It could just, I could
Okay.
get a scheduled book. It doesn't even
All
have
right.
to be like pocket size. Actually, I would prefer it not to be pocket size because then I would lose it and then that would be frustrating.
Something that you can fit right in there.
Yeah.
That's, weighty enough, big enough to write in easy, make changes in easy. When could you get something like that?
I mean, I could get something like that at any time. I just never, I never really thought of just, I'm going to just go and get this calendar.
Okay.
It's a lot of things that I haven't thought about.
So if that's something that sounds good to you, that you'd really benefit from, could you get that done in a week?
Oh yeah, I can get that done in a day.
All right.
Definitely.
Great. Great.
Yes.
Is there any way I can help you follow through and make that really happen?
You just did though. I mean, if you check back with me,
Okay.
in a day and you're like, hey, did you get it? And I'm like, not yet. But
Tell you
I
what,
could.
instead of me checking back with you, how about you just shoot me an email and say, hey, I got it done.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so in that video, you saw how I worked with Teresa to help her really stay focused. And that's really, I think, at the heart of this laser coaching approach. It's not hurrying the client, it's helping them stay on track, helping them stay focused, helping them avoid going into detail where they don't really benefit that much from going into detail. You can't cut people off too quickly and have a just the facts, ma'am, kind of approach here. You certainly want to help, have the conversation feel natural. But you also want the client to keep moving along toward what they're really trying to say. So you notice one of the things that I did was I used frequent summarization of what the client was saying. I was kind of paraphrasing what she was saying, helping her realize what her topics were, what she had already covered, and it kept us moving forward in a way where we could see eventually what we really needed to look at in terms of what would be most effective for her. So you also saw me really acknowledging whenever I could what she already knew, what she already was on top of. Clients really need to hear that so that, again, it does kind of keep forwarding the action. That's acknowledged, it's recognized, the client doesn't have to refer to it all over again and again. Also, what you're doing a lot of in laser coaching is you're identifying kind of where is the client going, and you're helping them get there. You're identifying the point they're trying to make, you're identifying what it is they're trying to say to the best of your ability, and then you're trying to help the client to kind of finish up and move along to that point. And you do that by naming it, by identifying and naming what you hear them saying, kind of where you see them going. And you may put that in question form and kind of check it out with them and just kind of say, so help me out here. I want to make sure we're on the right track together. It sounds like you're talking about this and moving toward this. So that can really help a great deal. You're making an effort, as you saw me do later on in the video, to forward the action. And forwarding the action kind of has to happen at the right time. You don't want to do it too quickly, too prematurely. I'm always talking about how premature goal setting always seems to be a negative or less effective approach. So help the client to kind of move along toward what they want to do and what are they ready to do. Again, you're going to plug in readiness for change theory. In this case, Teresa has some preparation stage activity going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at the slideshow that we have. And what I want to do is make some more points here that will be helpful for you to see when we're taking a look at, okay, just a moment. I'll try sharing this again. And we'll move it back up to the beginning of this chapter. Here we go. There we go. All right. Let me share that. And again, I'm going to bring that up in size for you. So, like we're saying, time-limited coaching, and I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because in that intro, I already covered a lot of these things. But one of the big reasons that we're doing this is that a lot of people that we train as health and wellness coaches, you among them, are often working in settings where you don't have the time you would like. You have to limit your sessions to very short appointments. And that term that I used in the intro, moving swiftly but not hurrying, that's really important for us to remember. You also are using questions to really help the person kind of get to the point that they're saying. And this is something that I want to speak about for a moment. Very important to know when the story doesn't need to be told. You see, in coaching, it's different than consulting. If you're a consultant, you need all the information you can get to make the best recommendations possible. But what we're looking at here is you being a coach and helping to facilitate the work the client is doing. They know the story. They know all the details. Now, they need to have their story heard. They need to have their story honored. You really want to respond empathetically to their story and show that you understand it. Really acknowledge what they've gone through, all of that. But you don't need to go into the details and the details of the story. That's what we mean by when the story doesn't need to be told. So that's where you, again, like I said in that intro, you want to help the person focus and say, now how does that relate to what you were just saying? So laser coaching, like we said, is about efficiency. And when you are show more empathy and compassion, people feel heard quicker. And even though it seems like it's not a hurry up technique, it isn't really a hurry up technique, but it is an efficient technique because empathy and compassion help that person to feel like, oh, okay, my coach really gets it. They really understand what I'm saying. So I don't need to keep on talking about it, seeking to have my coach respond in that way. The other thing that we're always doing in laser coaching is identifying, are we kind of heading off into a tangent here? One of the expressions is, are we getting lost in the weeds? Now, once in a while, there is a point to what someone is saying when they start heading off into what seems like irrelevant territory. That's where you want to inquire and say, so, tell me again, how are these details relevant to what you were just talking about? And if it is a true tangent, they'll be coming back on task. The other thing that really helps is clients can often spend a lot of time talking about the past. And the big deal is, how relevant is it? How does the past affect you today? So this old Gestalt therapy term, to presentify, is what we're going to do. How can we bring it into the present? When someone's talking about their childhood and how tough it was, how does that affect their efforts today to be healthy? Also, when the person gets into that self-critical, inner critic gremlin talk, catch it early, help the client identify it, and short-circuit it so you don't spend time going down that type of direction. So again, great listening, great acknowledgement. When someone feels heard and understood, they don't have to keep elaborating. They can move right along, get some work done. So, some time savers. Really important little techniques and tricks of the trade, you might say. One is the coaching prep form or preparation form. If you haven't already started using a coaching prep form with somebody, please do. You'll find one in the Real Balance tools and resources, as well as in the appendix of your manual. So a prep form does a couple of things. It helps you get ready for a client's appointment, but it helps, more importantly, the client to get ready for their appointment. If I'm a client getting ready for my appointment on Thursday, and on Wednesday I start filling out my prep form, I start to think, well, what have I been working on? How has it been going? What do I want to say in that upcoming appointment? What do I want to really accomplish? It helps me arrive at the appointment ready to work. The other thing is share responsibility for clock watching. You know, you may find some clients that are all over the clock because they do have an appointment coming up, and others that are oblivious to it. And they tend to ramble and then try to cram everything in at the very end of the session. You may inquire and say, so, you know, during our appointments, do you have a clock nearby? I mean, a digital clock on a cell phone, on a computer, on a tablet, a, you know, clock in the room, and even a watch. All these things, you know, they're all over the place. So clients can share some of that responsibility and you'll use the time more efficiently. The other thing that you can do is kind of give somebody a heads up, a warning, when there's so much time left. Oh, we have 10 minutes left. We have 5 minutes left. Let's focus on this, or how about we focus on this? What would you like to focus on in the last 5 minutes that we have together? The other thing, there's some coaching tools that you really want to work on in the session with your client, but there's others that you can give as homework. Matter of fact, there's some, like our self-permission, self-denial inventory, that require that reflective time that when somebody takes it home and does it on their own time, they'll do a more thorough job anyway. And then talk about it at the next session. Like I said in the video, respectful interruption. A lot of people have been taught since childhood, it's rude to interrupt people. But if you don't interrupt and get your side of it in, the coaching sometimes is no longer a coaching conversation between two people. It becomes a client's idea that coaching is, oh, I go to my coaching appointment and I just report everything that I do. So I talk for a long time, and then my coach, whom I'm kind of treating like a consultant, they say something to help me out. Instead, you want to use paraphrasing, you want to interject with acknowledgement, you want to get it going back and forth, back and forth. And when you really have that point where someone is just talking, and you really do need to interrupt, like I said in the video, a great way is to soften it with a summary. You can say, well, excuse me, I just want to make sure I'm really understanding you here, and then give a really good summary. And then before you lose the opportunity, ask a question. Take it in some direction that helps focus the session further. Another thing to help you with time saving is for you to record some of your sessions with client permission and study how you're coaching. How are you using time efficiently? Or what are you doing that is not using time efficiently? Now, the structure of a coaching session can help tremendously in the use of time. You do want to coach with one eye on the clock. I'm sorry, but it really does end up working that way. So we've kind of broken it down here into percentages. And of course, not every session is going to be exactly like this. And, you know, these are approximations. But we're trying to just kind of show how it does break down. Now, one of the things that ends up happening all too often is there's a little bit of connection, maybe a progress review that may or may not take very much time. And then there's this great, big, long section of processing and exploring and talking about everything and talking about everything. And if you do that for too long a time, you will not have adequate time left for what we call next steps. That's setting up the agreements and accountability and support for what are you going to work on between now and the next time we get together. So if you do that well and have enough time left for it, then you can summarize the agreements and close the session with some inspiration. So it kind of looks like this. You want to leave about 1/3 of the session for those next steps. forwarding the action does take time. You know, you may have discovered in the check-in and in the progress review that it was really difficult to take on these action steps. And you need to really process that with the client and strategize. What's the best way forward? Do we need to reset the level so that we're not trying to walk that many times in 1 week? Do we need to maybe recommit this week? Because this week, things are going to work out much easier, situation's different. Or do we need to perhaps shift to a whole new, different kind of action step? So make agreements about your sessions. Stick to them. Don't have an open-ended type of session. If your clients learn that our sessions are 30-minute appointments and that's it, then they make good use of that 30 minutes. You know, kind of like the illustration here with the photograph, if we're working for 30 minutes and we want 1/3 of the session to be left for those next steps, that means with 10 whole minutes left, we better get going into the world of next steps. And like I said here, if you need more time, make an agreement about how many extra minutes. Well, you know, we can work for 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes here, because it seems like we're talking about something that really needs some closure. You're making some really good strides of understanding. But I'm willing to give you, you know, more time here. My schedule allows it. Or, you know, you may have to tell your client right at the beginning, I have a hard stop at the top of the hour or at the half hour. That lets the clients know there's no negotiating. You have a hard stop and you're moving on to your next appointment. So the laser coaching section here, I hope that that's a good summary for you. And what we're going to do is actually break this into 2 videos so that you can watch them, you know, more sequentially on your own time. And I hope that this works out well for you. So thank you for watching and listening. And by the way, one thing you might want to do is go over the demonstration again and maybe take some notes, if you didn't already the first time, on just what all did you see me doing to help forward the action, to help use the time efficiently. So again, laser coaching is really about efficiency, not about rushing. It's about doing the best job possible with whatever amount of time you've got. The next video will be about chapter 11, which is a real important chapter about working with habit change and also working with stress and how to coach around stress. So we'll see you on that one. Take care, everybody.